As most of the world has come together to condemn Russian aggression in Ukraine, China has refused to call it an invasion. In a news conference earlier today, China's foreign minister blamed NATO for pushing Russia-Ukraine tension to a breaking point. With us tonight to discuss, Amy Chin, an international correspondent for The New York Times. Amy, I want to share what CIA Director William Burns had to say about China earlier today.
I think the President Xi and the Chinese leadership are a little bit unsettled by what they're seeing in Ukraine. They did not anticipate the significant difficulties the Russians were going to run into. I think they're unsettled by the reputational damage that can come by their close association with President Putin, second by the economic consequences.
So China's caught off guard. Does that track with your reporting?
It does. I think China, prizes stability above all else, and the fact that this is becoming a long, protracted war is something that they certainly did not anticipate. And this is a huge political year for China's leadership. The president, Xi Jinping, is preparing to take an unprecedented third term in power, and so he needs to be able to control things at home. And this is something that he certainly was not expecting.
Ian Bremmer, has a much scarier take. He tweeted this: China's state media is close to 100% aligned with Putin's narrative on the war in Ukraine. Very problematic sign for where the global order is heading. That's really scary. We know that Putin's narrative is an absolute lie. If Russia and China truly become aligned, how concerned should we be?
I think it should be very concerning, but at the same time, I don't think we should. It's too soon to say right now that, this is a very firm alliance. The China-Russia relationship goes back a long time. There's been a lot of distrust and bad blood in the relationship before. Certainly, we're seeing warming relations now between President Xi and President Putin. They've met nearly 40 times since 2013. Xi Jinping has called Putin his best friend and has, as recently as a few weeks ago, said that the relationship between China and Russia has no limit. But that's not to say that in the future, as Russia, continues to feel the economic consequences of what's happening, that China is all in on this relationship. And I think that it still remains to be seen how China will, handle this continuing crisis.
Well, let's not go to the future. Let's go to the present right now. What are the Chinese seeing on their state-run media, on their news? What are they telling them?
So right now, what they're seeing, as you said, that there's repeating a lot of the sort of propaganda that's coming out of Russia, that this is this was because of the U.S. and because of NATO. NATO's expansion in Europe pushed Russia to go into Ukraine. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokespeople have refused to call the invasion an invasion. They are sticking by the Russia's line that this is a special military operation. And, most recently we heard them talk about, U.S. bioweapons laboratories, spouting these new theories about that. And so they've also censored a lot of the pro-Ukraine voices in China as well. There have been scholars and people who have come out to voice criticism against Russia, and those people have been censored on social media too. And so I think, the view in China right now among the public is very similar to what people in Russia are getting from Putin and the state media there as well.
Could China step in and buy a whole bunch of Russian oil on the cheap?
They're definitely looking at ways that they can benefit economically from this situation. But at the same time, I think China is worried about the blowback and getting too caught up in the sanctions that Russia are being put on Russia right now. And so I think they'll be careful, but this is something that they're definitely looking at.